Hi, I'm here today to talk about my experience of living in Iran. Uh, well, uh, from my perspective, I guess I never belonged here. I love it though, it's where I was born and it's my home, but still I don't feel belonged here because a lot of factors actually. First thing first, maybe one of the most important ones is that uh, LGBTQ community is, uh, you know, it's not a good situation here for us. But, you know, like, uh, like how I had to live with the fear of me being murdered by the government. I mean, I remember as a child I used to watch. I don't know. I don't remember the exact name, but I guess it was a short movie, which was really scary for me at that age. Even now, it's still scary because they were a couple that I guess government arrest them and I guess executed them. And as a child, I remember sleeping with the fear that every minute there was a chance of me being arrested or executed. Um, and I always had this feeling that I should put a mask on. I should pretend to be something that I'm not, something that I'm not even close to. It's just far, far away from my personality and who I really am. I guess I did it because of my safety, my own safety. I had this fear that if anyone uh, notice my real personality or get to know who I am really, it'll put me in danger. And I remember that I couldn't sometimes put the mask off. I just got used to it, and I had many friends that got used to this mask that they are now in a phase that they can't be themselves. And I don't know if they can be themselves ever again, but as far as I know, they lost themselves to the mask they had to put on for their safety. But I kind of tried my best to find a safe place that I could put this mask off, and I found it. I found many friends that I'm comfortable with, and they gave me this courage to show my real self, show my true self, and not be afraid of it. But as much as they tried, it really didn't disappear that fear. I am still carrying it every day, but in my safe zone and uh, pe- around people that I'm like I trust. It's a little bit less than usual, but I can feel it. I can still feel it, and I don't know if even I uh, move out and I leave the country and start a new life out there in another safe country with a government that has my back. I don't think that I could leave that fear behind because it's something that I've born with, kind of. It's something that I've felt as far as I remember, it has always been there. Even as a child, I remember that I didn't know how to put on the mask, but I remember that I was trying my best to not show my true self.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to chapter 1 of the Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind. This one titled Be Afraid. Be Very Afraid. It's an old adage, and you'll see why I used it. My drink today is an old classic mojito syrup and water. Let me take a sip. Great. It is freezing in my room, so the drink remained cold. Fantastic. Um, as it is a tradition with this season, living under oppression, you heard from one of my friends at the beginning of the episode, and they talked about, well, wearing masks to protect themselves and how it's hard to sometimes remove that mask. Now, I know I talked about, especially in chapter 92, I think, therefore I am executable, unless that wasn't chapter 92. No, it was chapter 92. I did talk about it a little bit, but this is an important aspect of this whole movement and just generally life in Iran. You have to hide who you are, you have to hide what you do, you have to hide yourself because it's not just a question of the traditional society will judge me, the traditionalist society will attack me. They will, and I will get to that in a bit. But even the government is against you, as my friend said. They execute people of LGBT community, and they do that. As I've said before, one is too many, but the fact that it's more than one is horrifying. They have executed them. There are news stories out there. There are footage of executions out there. And speaking of executions, during the past week, they executed two more people. One of them so alone that he doesn't have a first grade family to even go and get his body. They don't release the body to anyone. You have to be a first rate family member, and he doesn't have anyone. I want you to imagine the pressure of just that. But yeah, you have to wear masks. You have to live in fear. And living in fear, as I've talked about before numerous times, is not a healthy existence in a sense that, well, when you're afraid of every movement, you build these forts around yourselves. And as my friend said, sometimes it's hard to get out of them. Sometimes it's impossible to get out of them. And, I talked about it in the last chapter, chapter 100, but there is this view, not just by Iranians, but by people outside of Iran, that this is how life it should be in this region. In Middle East, it's hard for LGBTQ member to live in Middle East, and well, it's normal. These are the old traditionalist countries. These are backwards people, and even this is something that many people in Iran have the sentiments of. At the beginning of the movement, I used to be much more active on Twitter, but then Elon Musk came and fucked it all up, and I'm not even kidding. They removed a lot of phone numbers from Iran and started uh, like downplaying the performance of post-traumatic, and it's a mess. Anyways, I don't use Twitter anymore. I don't want to. It's a buggy mess as well. So, anyways, just that aside. And a lot of people, even inside of Iran, were having this sentiment that even when we topple the current regime, our goal should be to be a country like Oman or country like UAE, Dubai, like Dubai is not a country, it's a city, it's UAE, United Arab Emirates. It should be our goal to be like them. Not we can't be Belgium in a night, as a example of a mm, developed progressive country. And well, I wholeheartedly disagree with that sentiment. First of all, when they say we need to be like Oman and UAE, they mean strictly economically. Like economically, we need to be have free market because culturally, neither of those countries are very progressive, are they? They're not. I mean, you saw Qatar, didn't you? If you are outside of Iran, you saw how Qatar treated people. And believe me, none of the other ones are much better than that. Even if they feign progressiveness, they are in fact just as traditionalist as the Islamic Republic. They just are more smarter about it. Um, but that's the thing about living in fear. And people, they lived in this fear so much that it feels like it will never go away. It feels like you need to keep doing that. And when people say stuff like that, our goal should be that, it just tries to confirm the fact that no, even if the government changes, the traditional society will not change. And I don't think that's necessarily true or even necessary, to be honest. Why can't we have a progressive government? Why can't we have progressive notions in Iran? And that's one of the great things about this movement, about this revolution, about the woman life freedom movement, is that so far a lot of these people have tried to cancel out the LGBTQ voices. There has been the old adage of, if we do this, the old traditionalist, the silent majority will not come with us. And my position on that has always been, if the silent majority can sit by while the Islamic Republic rapes young girls, kills kids, executes people who have no first rate family to get their body, if the Islamic Republic is having no problems selling out resources to dubious foreign powers, if they are if they're sitting down while Islamic Republics beats kids in school to the point of actual death, if they're sitting idly by while the Islamic Republics literally shoots people in Zahedan, and they're sitting idly by because they saw two people of the same sex share a kiss, then they're fucking monsters. I don't want them in our corner because they need to realize that the problem isn't Islamic Republic. Islamic Republic is a bad symptom of a lot of traditionalist ideals that have been in this country for many years. They're the same traditionalist ideals that ruined the 1907 constitutional revolution and they fucking destroyed the 1979 revolution. So yeah, those ideals, they are not better than Islamic Republic. Basically, the silent majority, which by the way, it's a loaded term. They, it's not necessarily true, but if the silent majority is willing to sit idly by, despite all of these monstrosities, because of LGBTQ rights, well, they are literally Islamic Republic. What's the difference? It's just that they don't have any guns. If they had any guns, if they had any power, they'd implement the same regime of fear. And you might disagree with me. I do understand people disagreeing with that and say, no, everything needs to happen in baby steps. But the thing is that with baby steps, you have to realize the extent of living in fear, the extent of putting on a mask and not being able to remove it, the extent that a mask is there. I'm sorry, I put my hand over my face. A mask is there, and it's slowly choking the life out of you because even if you express a little bit of yourself, there is a chance that the traditionalist society around you, the old ass people around you will literally fucking kill you, and even if they don't kill you, their government will. So yeah, I want you to imagine not being yourself. I know the old thing. Everyone wears masks, and that is correct. Yeah, I also wear masks. You've heard me on this show many times talk about how the fact that I love musicals, I didn't show it until very late, until I was 22, 23, because before that I was like, nobody will like this. And I was true, even when I showed it, nobody really liked it. But the thing is that everybody wear masks. That is correct. But nobody has to wear the mask at all time unless you're a member of certain communities in oppression, in an oppressive society like you are. And that can change, that should change, that needs to change. People say baby steps, because if you force them too quickly, they will go defensive. But I'm saying that with that baby steps, with each baby steps, with each concession you give to the traditionalist values, with each succession that you give to the religious identity of Iran, you're ruining the lives of thousands of people that have already been living in abject fear. Many of them, as my friend said, just want to leave just because they need to be themselves. I want to live because I want to be myself, but that's the thing. Like, baby steps, I agree, baby steps are important. Baby steps can result in great things, but at the same time, sometimes you need to push a little bit. You need to tell people that just because it is their religious belief, it is their traditionalist belief that LGBTQ members are doing either something sinful or something unnatural, doesn't mean they have the right, they have the power, or they have the say to silence them. I'm all for religious freedom. Don't get me wrong, because there is a sentiment that a lot of people are about oppressing religious freedom. No, I'm all for religious freedom. Go ahead and pray to every god you want. Practice any religion you want, even if it's old Greek mythology. Yeah, I praise Poseidon and I bow at the altar of Jeremy Irons. That is my religion. That's okay. But if part of my belief is that people named, I don't know, Alan shouldn't live. I think people named Alan shouldn't live. We should kill all of them. You don't have to give me power to do that. You don't have to respect that aspect of my religion. Okay, I wanted to make a joke about how when we already know the core of Irons is that we should kill people named Hannibal, because Jeremy Irons was supposed to play Hannibal. Long story. It's a joke that nobody will get because I never mentioned it on this podcast. It's an inside joke between me and my friend. But that's the thing. That's the idea that I was talking about. We need more than baby steps, and that is great that we are not taking baby steps now. As I said at the beginning, a lot of voices were trying to say LGBTQ members need to stay quiet. Radical left needs to stay quiet because, sadly, as I've said before, Iran is a very right-wing country, sadly. But that will change because when you don't have a hardline conservative government, it's easier to implement and talk about changes in the society. But one of the good things is none of those voices were silent. LGBTQ voices are still as prominent now as they were at the beginning of the movement, and that's great. That is fantastic. That means there is still hope. Because no matter how far people think the traditionalist society needs to go, it's never right when it's restricting the life of others. It's never right when you have to live in fear. It's never right when you pressure someone so much they get fused with the masks, not because they want to, but because they have to for their own fucking safety. I will see you all next week.